Good evening, everyone. I'm Dan Holt, your 2014-2015 president of the Fayetteville Rotary Club. Thank you. At this time, I would like to ask Ansel Sylvie, Bud Rambo, and Lucy Carter Williams to come forward. Ansel Sylvie will be leading us with the prayer. Bud Rambo will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and Lucy Carter Williams will lead us in the four-way test.
Let us pray together. Incline thine ear to us, O God, and hear our prayer. I ask your blessing upon the gathering of the Rotary Club of Fayetteville, its guests, special honorees, and friends. We are thankful for the past 80 years of dedicated service by the men and women who have been faithful in leadership roles, serving the Rotary Club of Fayetteville. Now may the fellowship of this hour and the meal before us bring honor and goodwill to all. May grace, love, and peace abide. Amen.
We'll say the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please join me in the four-way test of the things we think, say, and do. It's in your bulletin, or our program this evening. I'm used to saying bulletin. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
We can all sing. I want to welcome each of you tonight and thank you for joining us for our 80th anniversary celebration for the Rotary Club of Fayetteville. We have a really fine evening planned for you tonight, highlighted by the presentation of our past presidents, the opportunity for our district governor to present the other district governors who were so kind to attend. I understand we have one of the largest attendance of district governors or past district governors that that Carol Foster's ever seen, so that's a pretty big deal. And of course, we have presentation of awards for our current Rotarians, and our guest speaker tonight will be Hope Hines. Let me introduce our guest speaker tonight. He's a gentleman that I have heard speak countless number of times. As I was a avid sports fan growing up, he has been the sports caster for Channel 5 for 35 years. Spent a total of 40 years in broadcasting, and in 2014 was inducted into the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame. We're very fortunate tonight to have as our guest speaker, Hope Hines.
Thank you very much, Dan. And again, it's a pleasure for me to be here. It's the third trip I've made to Fayetteville in the last 3 years, which has all been good. Every time I come to a Rotary, they just keep getting bigger and better. I don't know if that's on my account or something bigger happening than the last time I was here. I think that's what it is, but it's always a treat, always a pleasure for me to be here. And I can tell you this, I'm learning an awful lot about you people. Yeah, I am. And you're some of the finest people that I've met anywhere. I speak at Rotary clubs, I won't say quite often. I speak at a lot of civic organizations, but I speak to the Kiwanians, and they are just always a delight to be around. I got a memo from Dick. You all know Dick Farr, right? Got a memo from Dick, said we need to move this thing along. You want to skip the first page, Dick, or you want to go from the top? We can do either thing, either way you want to do it. In any event, I'm going to talk about a few things here tonight, and then I'm going to speak a little bit later on, and we'll move the program right into the beginning right now. I'm going to tell you about the Rotary Club of Fayetteville's qualifications for Rotary President. Now, you may already know all of that. I didn't know all of this before tonight, so you see I've had to educate myself the last few days about that. Qualifications for your Rotary President, among other things, would include must have the skills needed to lead the club and energize the support of its members. You all get energized, right? Okay. Must dedicate the time and effort needed to carry out the work of the club and lead the membership. Must have been a member in the club for at least a year and have served on a board of a major committee or been club secretary. Must have attended at least one district conference or international convention. And number 5, understand the club's constitution and bylaws. And if you qualify, let me just say this, if you qualify for president under those 5 conditions, and after serving 1 year as president, you will totally comprehend why you don't want no more. I think now Dan's going to come up and introduce.
If we could we have Tom Bagley, Jimmy Cox, Bob Ashby, Bill Newman, Brenda, and if y'all would come on up here to the podium. Our past presidents laid the foundation for our club on which we stand today. As Miss Alice Holman Aaron said in her letter, the traditions established by our great leaders are followed today in some form. But above all, it is still service above self. Now we have Tom Bagley, president from the year of 1966-67, to introduce our past presidents and their representatives from 1966 and prior. Our other presenters will follow Tom, and please hold your applause until all the groups of past presidents are introduced. And if you would, please stand if you're here representing a past president when your name is called. Tom? No applause. No applause.
Well, it's great to be here tonight, and this has been a wonderful occasion. I have not been associated with the Rotary Club here for some time, but I can see that it is doing well, extremely well, in everything that it does. Dick asked me to talk about the past presidents of Rotary from 1935 to 1966, and at the time I thought, boy, this is I really don't want to do that, and I'd rather not, and all of those people in there, there's so many other people that could do such a better job in there, but I'd already accepted, so I went back to Dick and I said, Dick, I know that there's somebody in that group that can do a whole lot better job. And Dick looked at me and he says, well, you're the last one. Everybody else is deceased. Well, I'm kind of like Minnie Pearl. You know, every time Minnie Pearl gets up, or got up and went to the Grand Ole Opry, she says, I'm just so proud to be here. Well, that's me tonight. I'm just so proud to be here with all of y'all. My job is to tell the presidents, past presidents, from 1935 until the year that I served as president, and I'll ask the representatives of these people to stand up and be recognized. Please, no applause until it's all over. And if you stand up and you can, after you've been recognized, you can sit down again. Howard Fagan was the first president of Rotary in Fayetteville in 1935, followed by Hubert T. Holman, and we have Mr. Holman's son, Don Holman, who's over here, but Don doesn't need to get up. He's just had a little operation, and he needs to, but I want to recognize Don as being the son of Mr. Holman. William Hatcher served from 1936 to 1937. Joe J. Faison from 1937 to 1938, and we have Mr. Faison's son, Joe Faison, right here. Joe, just stand up and let them see who you are. If you can get up, that's all right, wave your hand. He's almost of my generation, so he's a little slim too. Okay, Hillard Parsons Sr. was president from 38 to 39. Bill Parsons, his sons, and Hillard Parsons are here. They were here earlier. I saw they are back over there. All right. Battle Bagley Sr., Owen Bagley, and Catherine Sullivan are his grandchildren, if they would be recognized. William Lee Yearwood from 40 to 41. Chris Patrick, 1941 to 42. And Martha Elizabeth Farrah, Dick Farrah's better half, is here representing Chris Patrick. And Mr. Burke Holman, who is Don Holman's, grandfather, was president from 42 to 43. Stiles Ashby, 42 to 44. And his son, Bob Ashby, is one of the presenters here somewhere, there. All right, Ernest Reese Sr., 44 to 45, and Joe Reese, his grandson, is here from Chattanooga, there. All right, Mr. Raymond H. Myers, my father-in-law, and my wife is representing him from right here. And then there was Jimmy C.A. Girish, who was president from 46 to 47. Mr. Girish was also a district governor of this Rotary district. He always led the singing at the meeting of the Rotary Club, and his wife Haviland always played the piano for everyone, and I can always remember the songs that we used to sing. I don't think they've got a pianist anymore, but and his favorite song was Hallowetta, and that was a great song with a whole lot of spirit. You could always put it in there and sing it. And Haviland, in her will, bequeathed to Rotary International the sum of $200,000, and made all the past presidents of Rotary in Fayetteville members of the Paul Harris, made them Paul Harris fellows. And we'll always remember Jimmy and Haviland Girish. James Becker was president from 47 to 48, and I understand his His daughter and son, Mary Helen Becker Welsh and Sloan Becker, are here over there. Thank you. Then Dave T. Buchanan was known as Railroad. We had two David Buchanans. One was the Railroad Baby Buchanan, and the other was associated with the telephone company, and he was known as Telephone Buchanan. But Thornton Taylor was president from 49 to 50, S.N. Brown 50 to 51, Granville Taylor 51 and 52. Dr. Reuben Crawford was the president from 52 to 53, and his daughter, Laura Crawford Kinkle, is she here tonight? Well, you also know his other daughter, who was also our past district governor, Carol Foster. Floyd Nelson from 53 to 54, Robert Kelso in 55, Ernest Reese Jr., Joe Reese's father was the president of Rotary in 55, Paul Richardson 55, 56, and Jack Richardson and Paul Richardson, his son and grandson, are here tonight. Bill Fitzgerald, 56 to 57, and Dr. Thomas Bullington, Dinah, Jack Richardson's wife, Donna Bullington Richardson is here tonight. Thank you, Dinah. Paul Badenhop from 58 to 59, Bob Bevel 59 to 60, and his widow Elaine is here. Somewhere. Yeah, okay, over here. Thank you for coming, Elaine. Kathy Wilson from 60 to 61, Eli Graham 61, 62, Hillard Parsons, Bill Parsons, and Hillard Parsons again. Bob Hamilton is represented by Mac Hamilton. Emmett Allison 64, 65. Telephone Dave Buchanan from 56 to 66, and Carol Buchanan Denton is here to represent it back on the back side over there. And then the last one in my group was me, and I was president from 66 to 67. That was a glorious year for me. I don't know about the club, but we had a great time. And now I'll ask Jimmy to come up, and Jimmy Cox, and he's going to tell you about the young Rotary.
You did a fine job.
Let's give Tom a hand. Tom Dick did communicate with you. He came by the bank and solicited us to sort of help out on this program out here today, but didn't say anything about me being on the program. He kept it a secret. The way I found out about it, Dan, who's your president, had told my son Lyman that he thought I was going to be here and was going to be part of the program. I said, no, hell, I ain't even sent my name in. So if it hadn't been for Dan, you'd had somebody else introduce me as president. So I said, I better get here, but he knew I'd probably turn him down, so he just worked a different needle on me. It is a privilege to be with this fine group of people today. It's always been a privilege of me that I had the opportunity to serve in the Rotary Club. And not only it enriched my life, but it enriched my family's life by being able to be associated with some of the finest people that you could ever come in contact with. And Rotary meant a lot to me. It was ingrained in me to try to keep my attendance in order. And I tried to do that, but that sort of spread the borders a little bit for me too. I had the opportunity to make up several different places. Met a lot of people because I got to make up in different communities and spread up out and associated. The biggest thing was that we had a bond in our club, and we sort of worked together, and and shared ideas and fellowship with one another, and we're closely together. So the people that had a leadership in the Rotary, I'd like to call their name out like Tom did. I don't have as long a list you did, Tom. Some of our people are deceased too, but the first on my list as president was in 1967 to 1969, which was Porter Clark. His Rotary name was Ruth. And I don't believe they have any representative here tonight, but Porter was a historian for our club. He knew our club inside and out. He always took him and put the new members and indoctrinated those, and gave them a real great background. Porter was a genuine, fine person to get people started in the Rotary Club. And then Fuzzy Harmony was president in 1968-69, and he's deceased, but his wife June's here. June, we glad you could be here. I've got to tell a little bit of story on Fuzzy. They told us not to tell off much, the program won't be too long. Fuzzy and Bob Ashby had a good friend named Tom Bulletin, and they would go frog hunting. So Bob and Fuzzy went off and didn't ask Tom to go with them to the convention, the Rotary convention over at Knoxville. So they'd frog hunted together. So he said, "Cox, you going with me?" And every time we went frog hunting, he said, "Every pond we'll go to, this is what Fuzzy and Bob likes to go. I'm gonna get in front of them." And he'd get the light on him, and he'd stick that frog. And cause there's at the convention, every time he stick fire, he'd say, "Rotary, that spells Rotary." He said, he'd do that every time. He said, "Oh, Fuzzy and Bob, we're still here." All right. Dr. William B. Hatcher was president 69 to 70. His wife, Flavor, is she here? Well, she's here tonight. I'm not going to tell all stories about Bill. Ashby can tell that. All right, in 1970 to 71, we had Bud Rambo served as our president, and his wife, Catherine's here.
Don't kill anything on me.
All right. All right, William R. Billy Bob Carter, and his Rotary Jane, and Lucy is here to represent him. Thank you, Lucy. Dr. T.A. Patrick, Lex Patrick, was 72 to 73, and his Rotary was named Ann, and I don't believe they have a representative. Dr. Bill Young, William M. Bill Young, was president in 73 and 74. He's a good friend of mine and doctored my children. His wife, Suzanne Rotarian, Rotary Suzanne, and her daughter, Laura Clark, with us. All right, and then we have Don Holman, which is, so we've already, Don, we won't ask you to stand up, but I'll follow Tom's lead on that. His Rotary Betty's with him, and we delighted to have them with us. W.K. Dick Whitmore and his Rotary Margie was 75 to 76, and Dr. Paul Wakefield and Nancy, his Rotary 76 to 77. And my year was from 1977 to 1978, and my wife, my Rotary and wife, Donna Cox, she's also a Paul Harris fellow. But one thing to say, back in 1977 and 78, during my tenure as president, we had a drive to wipe out polio, and we had a double opportunity. We could also be a Paul Harris fellow, and the money would count as to do away with polio. And we had the largest representative of our club at that time as far as raising money, so we had a very successful year, and I was thankful I had a part in doing that. There's some outstanding people, and it's an honor for me to introduce them. So I'll turn it over to Bob. You next.
I am. Good job. First off, I want to thank Dick, and I don't know who's on the committee. I looked in the program. I didn't see a program, but Dick, you and Martha did a great job in your committee. It was wonderful. This is a great get together. I've got years 78 through 90, and when I came into Rotary, let me back up just a second, right fast. I noticed in the bulletin There's 7 offices in this Rotary Club, 7 offices and 7 officers. My man Hayes Elliott has got 3 of those positions. And y'all are working Hayes too hard. He's got too many positions. But 78, Jack Richardson, his wife Dinah, Jack's dad Paul was president in 55. After Jack was Jess Barnes came in 79, and his wife Martha. A lot of people didn't know Miss Jess. He worked for Manna, real low-keyed, but found out a while back that Miss Jess used to pitch in Sulphurdale in the old Nashville Vols. So that's pretty good little memorabilia. Then after Jess was Conroy Sawyers, his wife Eula Bell, and Connie is here. Connie's daughter's here. Miss Sawyers thank you, Connie, for coming. Miss Sawyers was a stickler for right down the line. And then behind him, they elected somebody just as stickler as would be John Shutt and his wife, Margaret. They're both still living, but not able to attend tonight. Miss John was a lifetime Boy Scout. And then came Fred Abrahamson, his wife Ruth. Fred's daughter's here tonight, Laurel and her husband Floyd, and we appreciate y'all coming. Now, Mr. Fred came, he was right in front of me. He was a stickler. He came to Rotary with his briefcase and had it all zipped up. Everything was earmarked, and then I came in right after him and carried everything on my hip pocket, and it just blew his mind. He was torn all to pieces. But Jimmy was bragging on what happened when he was president. I followed Mr. Fred, and our biggest claim that year was to have the worst Rotary program that's ever been in Rotary Club. Mr. Perdue brought it. It was accreditation of the hospital. Now, who cares about that? It was a rough program to sit through. Julian B. followed me, and we shared the 50th anniversary of Rotary, Mr. B and I. And Mr. B's passed away, his wife Jean, both of them have left us, but fine fellow. Then Gary Badenhop followed, he and his wife Brenda, and Mr. Paul was a past president, his dad was a past president. And David Bagley, his wife Cindy, they couldn't come, they've got problems down south, I think it's getting cold on them. And, but Owen's here and Jill represent David. Bruce Grant, his wife Marion. Bruce did a great job. He worked at Copperwell, did a great job for Rotary. Then came Fred Job, another old ball player. Mr. Fred played ball, a little semi-pro ball. He's got 3 siblings here tonight. Got Leaf and David and Elizabeth. Elizabeth, I didn't know you. I'm sorry. But I'm going to meet you in just a second. Mr. Fred did a great job along with his wife Sarah. Always complained because it was either too wet or too dry, and he couldn't farm right, but he did a good job. I told him, I said, Mr. Fred, you're doing pretty good. Maybe that was his daddy, Mr. JB. I said, you're doing pretty good. I said, you got a Cadillac truck. And he said, that's not a truck. I said, well, you use it like one. It's a Cadillac. I said, I'd assume it was a truck. And then followed with Banny Newman, Ernest. I don't know if are you here? Is Barbara here? Banny was superintendent of schools, and he was the president from 89 to 90, and did a great job. Bill, thank you.
Jimmy, I got the same notice you did. If I hadn't opened this envelope on my desk this morning, Amy and I had reservations to eat in Huntsville tonight, and I saw I was on the program, so she wasn't too mad, and so I came. The greatest thing about mine, looks like to me we should be recognizing women on this, because in 1990 through 91, and then 2001
2002, the same woman was married to both of them. Maddie Pittenger and Maddie Sheeks was the spouse of the 1991 and the 2002, and both of them are great presidents. Kelly Pittenger, if you saw the Army of One ad, he was the Army of One in Rotary. He did more before 9 o'clock than any other Rotarian I've ever known has ever done. He did it. And no one knew what he did. Kelly died in an accident, tragically, but he was one of the best people I've ever known to do what he did. And that was the 90 to 91. Lance Cooter, his claim to fame was not his year in Rotary, but Jim Bob Cooter, who is making millions, in the NFL, because he's smart. But I don't know if anybody's here from the Sims or the Cooter family. No? Okay. I got the same notice from memory as Jimmy Cox did. Dick Farah, he was the president in 1992, 93. Now, he told me this. My presidents and his was the only one we lost membership by more than 10% during those years. But Dick continues to be what I call one of those people that just won't give up. I think about Bob Hamilton a lot of times, and he was a person, he's not on my list, and I wished he was because I loved him, because he never stopped being a Rotarian. Dick will never stop being a Rotarian. I appreciate you, even though I give you hell a lot of times. I don't know if vice versa works, but anyway. Next was Ansel Sylvie, and his claim to fame was the first Baptist president. I was the... Thank you. You cleared the way. I was the second Baptist, and after he was the first Baptist, they said, why don't we let women in? So, it was so... They let a Baptist president let them in. In the same year, I became a member of Rotary, and right after that, Carol Foster, they let her in. And then, is that for Baptist or Carol Foster? Okay. Okay. Then Steve Cheatham. Is Mike or Steve or any of those? No, nobody's here. Steve, he had a great year. He did a lot of good stuff, but he's probably still busy working at Lincoln County Bank. Charles Glegor never got to be president, but he was too damn smart because he would keep all these people cracking the whip and making money for him, and Steve was one of those, and that's the reason he's not in Rotary today, because he's still working for Lincoln County Bank. Love Lincoln County Bank, but Jimmy Cox helped me probably more than Charles Glegor did, but that's beside the point. Colin Wakefield. You see the lineage, a lot of times it's the same name. Colin, is anybody here with Colin? No. For Colin? Okay. I don't remember his year, but I think it was a great year because Mr. Paul was still in Rotary and he wouldn't let Colin slack off. So, and I think that's the way Colin and his wife Nan are about their girls. But anyway, he was 95 to 96. Hillard Parson. Hill, stand up. There's more stories that make Hillard famous than Hillard himself. I'm not going to tell any of them, but Hillard, that's a tough guy right there because he's kind of like the Bob Hamilton story. He just hangs in there. Those people hang in there. Ken Sokol, he started a project that we all lives have been saved because he did the tornado warning system. It was so successful. Started out for being the city went out in the county. It said all the county schools, and to this day, it is probably one of the best projects that has protected Lincoln County. Ken Sokol, he wasn't from here, but I think he did one of the best jobs that I remember. He's one of the best organizers, and he could get you up for doing a project. He deserves a lot of credit for what happened in Lincoln County in the 1990s. Mac Hamilton, Mr. Okra. Mac and I love to joke each other. I love Mac. He's a great guy. He did such a good job. One of his daughters is a veterinarian. The other one has a granddaughter, Haley. Bought my building that I needed to sell, and I'll never... Thank you. You know, the rumor is Mac bought it. I don't know whether he did or not, and I don't care. And then I was following Mac, and there wasn't a lot done in my year except everybody was preparing for Y2K. Nothing happened. It's about like mine. Second Baptist to be, president. So I take a lot of pride in that. And still, then they saw, well, if Baptists can be it, then they finally said, why don't we have a woman president? And this is, y'all think this is a big deal. It is a big deal. Who was the next president? Carol Foster, the first female to be president for the Fayetteville Rotary Club. And it's all because Ansel and I, they said, hell, if Baptists can do it, women can. So, Carol. She does rock. And then Maddie's second husband, Larry Sheeks, was the president in 2001, 2002. If you go south of the courthouse, which I rarely go out that entrance unless I'm leaving Honey's pool room or going to Honey's pool room, which is about 2 or 3 times a day, you'll see the Rotary plaque there that Larry Sheeks did. And he did a great job, did a wonderful job. My wife's giving me some damn look and I don't know what the hell to interpret. So, Brenda, you're up. I might as well go sit down.
Hi. I have the group of 2002 to the current presidents, and I have a lot of stories also, but y'all's stories are safe. I'm not telling them. Don Counts was our president 2002-2003. He's back there filming. Todd Jenkins, I believe he's back here with his wife Jeannie from 2003 and 4. Glenn Beach was here, and is he gone? Okay, he had to leave, and he was here with his wife Jane. They're from 2004 and 5. Then we have Jim Harwell, 2005 and 6, and his wife Rachel. For 2006 and 7, we have Gene Urban, and his wife is joining him, Barbara. In 2007 and 8, our president was Marie Caldwell. I don't believe she's here tonight. I was president in 2008 and 9. My better half, Bill, is here. 2009 and 10, our president was Brian Gross, and I don't believe he could make it tonight also. Paul Richardson was president in 2010 and 11. His wife, Jana. It's gotten too quiet in here. And then in 2011 and 12 was Al Horseman, and his wife, Mary Kay, is here. Then in 12-13 is Lucy Carter Williams, way back in the back, with her husband, Rick. There you go. And then in 2013-14 is Owen Bagley. and I believe he's here with his wife Jill. And that brings us back to today's president, which is Dan Holt. And thank you all.
I want to turn it back over to Hope.
I don't know what kind of presidents you people have, but they're all comedians. You had some fun meetings, didn't you? I am to talk to you now about the responsibilities for the district governor. And they are to provide leadership, motivation, guidance to Rotary Club members. District governors prepare for and execute their duties over a 3-year period. During the 12 to 24 months prior to taking office, governors' nominees must determine the district's strengths and weaknesses, attend district meetings and participate in district committees, and finally, district governors must select a site for the district conference. Now back to the president, the current president, and he's going to make the presentation.
Well, it's my pleasure to introduce to you our current district governor, Jerry Ware. Jerry Ware has been a Rotarian since 1984 and has served as his club president, on the board of directors, and as youth projects chairman. Jerry served District 6780 as chairman of the Youth Exchange Committee, the planning committee for 2 district conferences, and the Rotary International President's World Interact Conference held in Pigeon Forge. Jerry was a member of the Ohio Erie Multi-District Rotary Youth Exchange Committee for 22 years, where he served as chief contact and country contact for France, Belgium, Italy, and Spain. He was delegate to the Europe, Eastern Mediterranean, and African Youth Exchange Conferences in Madrid, Brussels, and Lille, representing the United States and Canada Rotary districts. He is a multiple Paul Harris Fellow and has served as Assistant Governor from 2009 to 2012. What an accomplished man, Jerry Ware.
Thank you very much. It's such a privilege and honor for me and my wife Linda to be here to celebrate with you this 80th year. You know, I'm almost that age, and I can't imagine an organization lasting as long as that. I can only think of 4 other clubs within this district that existed before your club. This club has had a long history. You know, you have to think, what would Paul Harris think about the legacy that he started in 1905 by starting Rotary? He wanted to give back to his community. He wanted to share with others something that would make his community a better place. And let me tell you, he's got a fine legacy here. People in this room have donated, have worked for many projects, and a lot of people around the world and even here in our district have benefited from the actions of the people sitting at these tables. And I'd like to thank you for all your work as good Rotarians, whether you're doing water wells in Africa, water projects in the Dominican Republic, kidney transplants in Mexico, cleft palate operations, or supporting your youth by supporting your Interact Club at your local high school, or especially those warning systems that you put up that help Lincoln County realize they're in danger when storms come near. Your work has been so tremendous over the 80 years. You have done a great job, and it's such an honor to be here to be a part of this celebration. Your committee and your presidents and your officers who've put this together have done a great job, and I think they need another round of applause for all that hard work. As our president said, we've got to light up Rotary, and that's our theme this year, and you definitely are lighting up Rotary. It's people like you that make this a better world and provide people less fortunate with the things that they need. I'd like to introduce some special people that's with us tonight. L. Wayne Bomer. Jim Bomer III. Both of these gentlemen are the sons of our first district Rotary International president. It's people like their father that make our district different than some others. We'd like to thank them and recognize the benefits that your father gave to this district and the leadership that it started, because we are one of 2 districts in the entire world that's had Rotary International presidents. And it was because of the strong leadership of that gentleman who started that and the carrying out of those tasks that he set forth throughout the years of Rotary. Thank you very much. We're also happy to say that we have the entire governor's team here tonight, and I'd like to introduce them. Our district governor-elect, Beth Stubbs from the Maryville Alcoa Club. We have our district governor nominee, Mr. Fred Heitman from the Oak Ridge Club. We also have with us our district governor nominee designee, Deborah Alexander Davis, who will be a district governor. Along with that, we have several past district governors in the room, and I'd like to recognize them as well. We have Jim Buckner and his wife Pat from Flintstone, Georgia, serving in 2000-2001 from the Cleveland Club. We have Robin and Charlotte Texter from the Oak Ridge Club, Breakfast Club, serving from 2007-2008. And a special one, our third past district governor, Carol Foster, and my dear friend who served as district governor 2000, and Tony's with us too, 2009-2010. Then following Carol, we also have Bobby Davis and his wife Debbie, who served as district governor 2010-2011 from Kingston, and this will be our first husband and wife governor's team. That's amazing. Along with that, we have our present assistant district governor, Linda Welty, and she is from the Tullahoma Club. Our chairman of our awards program and past assistant district governor from the Shelbyville Club, Barbara Blanton. We have some awards to give tonight. We'd like to ask those people to come forward. Mr. David A. Kidd, in appreciations for your untiring effort and devotion to our club, our community for 23 years, service above self. Congratulations. William Bill Newman, in appreciation of 20 years of service. Congratulations. James Dick Farrar, and he's the one who kept sending me messages and make sure that I knew what I was supposed to do. Congratulations and thank you. Oh my gosh, I do believe I forgot something, didn't I? You know, there was a district governor right before me, and I left him out. He's sitting at a different table. District Governor Ray Noas from. Sorry, Ray. That was not intentional, I promise. Carol Foster, for 20 years of service. My ink ran out. It's not on there. Congratulations. She's the one who appointed me assistant district governor. Hilliard Parsons, Past president, 1996-97, 41 years of service. Congratulations. H. Donald Holloman, past president, 1974, 1975, in appreciation for 51 years of service. Congratulations. Mac Hamilton, would you like to come to the podium, please?
Introduction of other important guests. Did you have that?
We punted that to Larry Taft.
We punted that to
Larry
Mr.
Taft.
Larry
There he
Taft.
is, right
Larry, would you come join us at the podium?
Thank you. We appreciate the presence of all our guests here tonight. And I know you out-of-town guests are special just to be here, and we're appreciative to have you. We also have some local guests that are special, and I will introduce them at this time. When your name is called, please stand, and then you can be seated as we prepare for the next one. Ask the audience to hold your applause until they're all introduced. First, I have to introduce Ray Fraley and his wife, Debbie. Ray Fraley has been a supporter of our club and a frequent presenter of speakers, and he's a true baseball fan, and that's always important. Next, we have Betty Hambrick and Sue Holland. They're guests of Eugene Ham, and Betty and Sue's grandfather, Leland Medeiros, was a charter member of the Federal Rotary Club, so we're glad to have you with us also. Next, I'd like to introduce Joe Hamilton and his wife, Martha Lynn. Joe was our Rotary exchange student to Australia in 1974. Next, we would like to introduce Mimi Hughes and husband Forrest. She was international swimming competition. We also have with us, and we're glad to, Mayor John Law of the city of Fayetteville, and our First Lady, Emily Law. And then we have Danny Patel and wife Jita, and they're the owners of the Best Western, where we hold our weekly meetings. And last and certainly not least, Joe Young and wife Wanda, the owners of radio station WYTM FM and WEKR AM. I'd ask everyone to give them a round of applause.
I realize that I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of things that you already know. And if you don't know it, it's in the program, so what the hell am I doing here? Because Dick asked me to come down, that's why. Everybody know what a Paul Fellow is? I didn't know until just a little while ago, so let me tell you what a Paul Fellow is. For those of you who aren't quite sure, when $1,000 is contributed to the Rotary Foundation, a request can be made for an individual to be recognized as a Paul Harris Fellow, and that person can be a Rotarian, or that person could be a member of the community who is not a Rotarian. You'll want to know that millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars, about 70, raised each year, and almost 80% of those funds come from individuals being named Paul Harris Fellows. And there are about 700,000 Paul Harris Fellows and multi-fellows, as I understand it, in the world today. They are the backbone of the annual support to the Rotary Foundation, enabling Rotarians to carry on a worldwide program of educational and humanitarian programs. Is there anyone here who does not know who Paul Harris was? Then I won't tell you. He was a Chicago attorney who founded Rotary International in 1905. It is quite an honor to be a Paul Harris Fellow.
At this time, I'd like to call Paul Brinley, our chair of our Club International Service Committee, along with Gene Urban, to present our latest Paul Harris Fellows.
Good evening. I'm the Director of International Service for our club. Along with Ms. Carol Foster, we took our jobs as chairpersons of the Rotary Foundation very seriously, and we achieved our goal of having all members of our club be Paul Harris Fellow members. This is something that the Fayetteville Club has never done before. I'd like to start by bringing the following people up front. Is Mr. Tom Cobb here and Larry Taft. They are the last two members to be inducted as Paul Harris Fellow members. Once they are inducted tonight, the Fayetteville Rotary Club will be a 100% Paul Harris Fellow club. Our district is made up of 65 clubs, and we are one of only 9 clubs of the district to be 100% Paul Harris Fellow members. As these current members come to this front, I'd like to also ask the following people to join them. You will be receiving an honorary Paul Harris Fellow Award. Levi Holt, Luann Kidd, Mary Kay Horseman, and Mr. Bill Pinkston. The Paul Harris Fellowship Award is named for Paul Harris, a lawyer of Chicago, founded in the Rotary in 1905. The Fellowship Award was established in his honor in 1957. And this was done to express appreciation and recognition for a contribution to the Rotary Foundation. The Paul Harris Fellow Award is an award given to those who have given $1,000, possibly over several years, to our foundation, or by a sponsor that has given the money in their name for extraordinary services rendered. The foundation is supported solely by volunteer contributions from Rotarians and friends of the foundation who share this vision of a better world. This is one of the most prestigious awards in Rotary. The Fayetteville Rotary Club has produced 134 Paul Harris Fellows, and along with a generous contribution from the Garish family in 1992, we have contributed $348,000 to Rotary International. Today, there are over 1.4 million Paul Harris Fellow members worldwide. Giving any sum of money to the Rotary Foundation makes you part of the eradication of polio through our Polio Plus program, a partner in creating peace, a person who supports clean water and sanitation. Where water is worth more than gold, it is measured in lives. It makes you someone who believes that everyone should have food, good medical resources, and equal rights. You are a person that is fighting AIDS, polio, malaria, and other diseases, and in doing so much more than I can tell you in a few moments. While it's an honor to receive a Paul Harris Fellow Award, it is not about the recognition. It's about what you can do for the world as a Rotarian. We would like to give you your pens now. I'd first like to welcome Larry and Tom as current Rotarians to the union of thousands of Rotarians invested in making this world a much better place. Congratulations on behalf of Rotary International and our district. The other 4 members will be receiving honorary Paul Harris Fellow Awards: Levi, Luann, Mary Kay, and Bill. You are also being recognized today as Paul Harris Fellows in special appreciation for the ways in which your life exemplifies the humanitarian and educational objectives of the Rotary Foundation. You will be designated to receive this recognition by a current Rotarian that is a family member. All recent members who have become Paul Harris Fellows and have received their lapel pins at previous induction ceremonies, please come forward now and you will receive your certificate. It gives me great pleasure to present to you, on behalf of the trustees of the Rotary Foundation, the 2 emblems of a Paul Harris Fellow. The first is the lapel pin, which you received tonight or in a previous ceremony, and the certificate that you will all receive tonight. We urge you to wear your lapel pins to all Rotary events as a symbol of your support to the Rotary Foundation. Please congratulate and recognize the newest members of the Paul Harris Fellows. And while I hold this group up front, I'd like to ask that anyone in the audience who is a Paul Harris Fellow, please stand and be recognized also. Thank you for your continued support.
Thank you, Paul. Gene, I'm now going to ask Hope to step forward again for our guest speech tonight. Thank you.
I certainly am aware of the lateness of the hour. I told Dick I wouldn't speak any longer than 45 minutes. But I'm going to do us a favor. I'm going to cut it in half. Now, wait a minute. You got to understand, ladies and gentlemen, all those 40 years I was in television, they gave me 3 minutes at 6 and 10. We're going to go long here tonight, okay? I was asked to speak about the four-way test. I have no idea what the four-way test is. No, I do know what the four-way test is. I had to learn what the four-way test is. But let me say this before I get into my little declaration here. I saw something the other day that made my heart pound with joy, because it seems that our country, this wonderful country of ours, is finally returning to the religious roots and foundations that our forefathers had intended over 200 years ago. And I'll tell you how I know that. Somebody did a survey of people all across the country, and they simply asked the question, do you believe in miracles? 50% responded that they did. Those 50% were churchgoers. The other 50% were Vanderbilt fans. Did I make some enemies here tonight already? Do we have any Tennessee fans here? Oh! Then you're all familiar with old John Blue, aren't you? John Blue is Tennessee's #1 fan. He has been for 30 years. Every year, John Blue takes his family, they go to Miami for a weekend's vacation. Well, on this particular Friday morning, John Blue is sitting out on the veranda looking out at the Atlantic Ocean. He opens up the Miami Herald, and on the inside there is a full-page spread. It says, "Weekend cruise, $100. John knows a deal when he sees one." But he hitches up those shorts and puts on those sneakers and got his big orange T-shirt on. He runs down to the travel agent, walks in, takes a crisp $100 bill and lays it on the table and says, "Sir, I'll have that weekend cruise." Guy says, "Yes, sir." He took his money, stuck it in his pocket, reached up under the desk, pulled out a baseball bat, hit him in the head, and threw him out in the ocean. It wasn't 30 minutes later, and an Alabama fan walked in right behind him. Now, in Alabama, they don't carry $100 bills. They take 520s. So he says, "Sir, I'd like to have that weekend cruise." All right, same deal. Took his money, put it in his pocket, reached up under the counter, pulled out his baseball bat, hit the Alabama fan in the head, and threw him out in the ocean as well. Now, get the picture. John Blue, Tennessee fan, Alabama fan, floating out to sea. Between gulps of water and spitting and hissing, the Alabama fan says, "Hey, buddy, do they serve breakfast on this cruise?" Old John Blue thought a minute and he said, "They didn't last year." Do you forgive me? Oh, these Vanderbilt folks love that, didn't they? I am here tonight to talk about the four-way test. So tonight, as we embrace the virtues of truth, service, and leadership, and the four-way test is a guide for all Rotarians and for all of us, I'd remind us of what Thomas Jefferson said many, many years ago. I think this is so good. Honesty is the first chapter in the book of wisdom. Think about that. Not bad for old TJ. Tell me I'm clever. Tell me I'm kind. Tell me I'm talented. Tell me I'm cute. Please do tell me I'm cute. Tell me I'm sensitive, graceful, and wise. Tell me I'm perfect, but for goodness sakes, tell me the truth. Oh, yeah. And the one dearest to my heart about the truth came from the lips of my sweet mama many, many years ago, who taught me in high school, by the way. She was a 30-year teacher. She says, "Son, you may not make the honor roll, but there are two things that I totally expect you to do the rest of your life. Be a gentleman and tell the truth." And how right she was. In honor of my mother, I tell you this story tonight. It's a story that was written in 1976. It appeared in Home Life magazine, and it was written by a lady by the name of Elizabeth Ballard. It was the most requested article that magazine had in its history. Mrs. Thompson stood in front of her fifth grade class on that very first day of school, and she told those children an untruth. She said that she was going to love each one of them equally. That could not be the case, because sitting right there on the front row, slumped in his seat, was little Timmy Stoddard. Oh yes, Mrs. Thompson was quite familiar with Timmy Stoddard. She had seen him on the playground the past year and in the hallways, and she knew that Timmy was a troubled child. He came to school in dirty clothes, needing a bath. He didn't get along with anybody. His teachers found it very difficult to discipline him, and she just knew that she was going to take great delight in marking all of his papers with a big fat red F. Boy, was she in for a surprise. It was also the custom of the school that she taught that first day to review each child's transcript and background. Well, Mrs. Thompson saved Teddy Stoddard's until last. His first grade teacher said that Teddy was a wonderful young man. He was eager to learn. He was smart, got along well with other children, and was just a joy to teach. Teddy's second grade teacher said that Teddy was troubled because his mother had a terminal illness, and he knew that life at home was a struggle. His third grade teacher wrote that his mother's death had been hard on Teddy. His father, having to work 2 jobs, showed little interest, and she didn't know what was become of Teddy. His fourth grade teacher wrote that Teddy had begun his troubled ways once again. He was unruly. His clothes were dirty again as he came to school. He was spitting and fighting and just a terror, and she was concerned for his future. Now, at this point, Mrs. Thompson could very well understand what was going on. She understood what was happening, and she was ashamed of herself. She felt even worse when Christmas rolled around and all the children came to school and they wrapped their presents in beautiful packages of ribbons and paper. And there was little Teddy's package right in the middle in a worn-out soil brown paper bag. Well, all the children began to giggle and laugh as she reached in to see what was in the inside of Teddy's brown paper sack, and she pulled out an old bracelet that was missing 2 rhinestones. She quieted the children's giggles when she put it on her wrist. She also reached in again and pulled out a half bottle of perfume, put some of it on her wrist. That day after school, Teddy came by to thank her for being kind and to tell her that she smelled just like his mother did the last time he saw her. Mrs. Thompson, when Teddy left and all the children were gone, laid her head on the desk and she cried for an entire hour. She decided right then and there she would never ever again teach reading, writing, and arithmetic. No, she was going to teach children, and Teddy was going to be her pride. She worked with Teddy after school every day, and the more she encouraged him, the more eager he became. He was a quick learner because he was being encouraged, and she took it upon herself to do everything she could to get him to the next level. By the end of the school year, he had become one of the most popular children in school. His grades were superb, and he was the teacher's pet. When school got out that year and all the children had gone and Mrs. Thompson gathered up her belongings and was ready to leave, she looked down at the door and there someone had shoved an envelope. She reached down and picked it up. It was from Teddy Stoddard. He just wanted Mrs. Thompson to know how much he appreciated all the work she had personally put in with him and that she was the very best teacher he'd ever had in his whole life. 7 years went by before Mrs. Thompson heard from Teddy again, and this time when the letter arrived, it said that he was graduating from high school, 3rd in his class. He just wanted Mrs. Thompson to know once again she was still the best teacher he ever had. Another 4 years would pass, and the letter came this time. It was from Teddy saying he was graduating with honors from college, still reassuring her of all the teachers he'd had through high school and college. Mrs. Thompson was still the best teacher he ever had. Another 4 years passed, and another letter came. It was from Teddy again. She eagerly opened it. By now she knew his handwriting perfectly. It said that while he had graduated from high school, it had been a struggle. He wanted to go further. He wanted to make more out of himself. He knew that he could, and so he pushed himself on, and he had accomplished what he set out to do. Only this time, his name was a little bit longer, and it was signed Theodore F. Stoddard, M.D. She was thrilled. That's not the end of the story. There would be another letter in the spring, and when it arrived, she couldn't open it quick enough. It was from Teddy, telling Mrs. Thompson that he'd met a girl. They were going to be married, that his father had died a couple of years ago, and was writing to ask if she would do him the honor of sitting in the chair reserved for the groom's mother at the wedding. Well, of course she would. Wedding day came around, and oh yeah, she didn't forget. She got that old worn-out bracelet with 2 missing rhinestones, and she put it on. She didn't forget that perfume either. She put it up around her neck. During the wedding, she cried. When it was over, Teddy came, and they embraced. He whispered in her ear, Mrs. Thompson, thank you so much for believing in me. Thank you for showing me that I could make a difference. And with tears streaming down her face, she says, oh no, Teddy, you've got it all wrong. You're the one that taught me. Before I met you, Teddy, I didn't know what teaching was all about. Is it true? Is it true? Is it fair? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all? Yes, I believe Mrs. Thompson passed the 4-way test. And according to your reaction, I think you believe that she did too. No question about it. I trust you don't think that for one second that any of us are self-made. We are not. We all hear about self-made men, but don't think for one second, or self-made women, it doesn't happen. We all depend on others to assist us on our journey through life, and so I'll tell you this final story to point that up. Captain Charles Plumb graduated from the military academy, the Naval Academy, and he flew the F fighter jets in Vietnam. He flew 74 missions. 5 days before he was to be deployed to come back home, he was on his 75th mission, and his plane was hit by a surface-to-air missile, and he had to parachute into enemy territory. They got him, yes. He was in a concentration camp for almost 6 years. He and his wife were at dinner many, many years later, and they were having a nice, quiet candlelight evening. And Captain Plum noticed this gentleman sitting at the next table kept looking and staring, and all of a sudden it became uncomfortable. Well, the gentleman got up and he walked over and he reached out his hand. "You're Captain Charles Plum. You flew off the USS Kitty Hawk and you were shot down behind enemy lines." Captain Plum says, "Yes, but how did you know?" And with a big smile and very proudly, he says, "Because I packed your parachute." Oh, my goodness. He said, "It must have worked." He said, "It certainly did. If it hadn't been for you, I wouldn't be here." That night, Charles Plum couldn't sleep. He got up and he was pacing the floor, trying to remember if he saw that sailor in that Dixie cup hat and that bib turned around and those bell-bottom trousers that he wore. Was he kind to him? Was he courteous? Or did he treat him like the jet pilot might have just taught the lowly sailor? He thought not, and he hoped not. And all he could think about was that young man in the belly of that ship, folding those silks on that wooden table, holding in his hands the very thing that would save somebody's life. The point is, ladies and gentlemen, who is packing your parachute? Who helped you get here tonight? Who helped you get to this point in your life? You husbands look at your wives and say, "There she is right there. I know she's packing my parachute. She's been doing it a long time," and it works vice versa. You see, Captain Charles Plum had many parachutes that very moment he was shot down. You see, he had the physical parachute that he needed. He had the mental parachute, the psychological parachute, and yes, above all, he needed that spiritual parachute as well. I think he passed the four-way test. I think there are many ways that we can pass the four-way test if we just take time to stop and look and even listen. We'll find it. Let's use it in every walk of our life and everything that we do. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Not supposed to do something else? Oh, okay, that's right. Man, I was so good, I was going to get over here and sit. No, I'm kidding. All right, we got a lifetime achievement. Let me tell you what the lifetime achievement is about, as if you don't know, right? The Lifetime Achievement Award is the most prestigious honor presented by the Rotary Club of Fayetteville. That's pretty special. Am I right about that? Absolutely. Okay, that's what I thought. It is presented to a longtime member who has demonstrated in a unique and significantly large measure the principle of service above self. This distinguished member has made sustained contributions and displayed exemplary service in one or more of Rotary's avenues of service.
Our honorary membership tonight goes to no one other than Don Holman, a 51-year member of the Fayetteville Rotary Club. Also to award Don tonight, we have the Lifetime Rotarian Achievement Award, and it couldn't go to a finer fellow. I realize it's getting a little late tonight, but there's another award that was not on the program. And this is something that I just had to make sure we got in tonight. It's very important to me, and I know it's going to be very important to you as well. I'm going to have to get my glasses, though, because I won't be able to do it now. We are so very fortunate to have within our club someone who is very, very special. And today, the trustees of the Rotary Foundation and myself have the honor to express our appreciation to a couple who has made a substantial contribution to the goal of international understanding and peace. In doing so, they support and honor the humanitarian and educational programs of the Rotary Foundation that make a difference in the lives of others. It gives me great pleasure to announce Carol and Tony Foster that they have made contributions to the programs of the Rotary Foundation that qualify him or qualify them as major donors at the level one as a major donor. Would Tony and Carol please come forward? Just a quick story. The reaction that Carol got tonight when we mentioned her name, that's not anything special. It's that way her name is mentioned anytime you're around anyone that has anything to do with Rotary. When I went to Pets and we would discuss, meet people, I'm from Linda's from Tullahoma, Winchester, Manchester, and people from Shelbyville, people I met from Chattanooga. I'd say I'm Dan Holt, I'm from Fayetteville, and that was about where they stopped me, and they go, "Oh, Carol Foster." So Carol, her reputation is known far and wide as being a true Rotarian, and the major donor contribution that they have done pales in comparison to the work and the dedication she has put in as a Rotarian. But they did get some really nice gifts here. Tony and Carol, you are among a dedicated group of humanitarians who have committed themselves to helping others less fortunate. This special group of persons who are changing lives of children, young people, and adults through a legacy of hope. In appreciation for this investment in the future of humanity, the trustees wish to express their gratitude by presenting this crystal and these diamond pins, which I have. The crystal is engraved with your names on the side. It's beautiful. I took it out and looked at it a little bit. Also, it has the doves carrying the olive branches, which symbolize universal peace. Carol and Tony?
Thank you. Appreciate that.
And you also both receive a pin and a necklace that have a little diamond in it. It's very nice.
Thank you very much. I want to say thank you to everybody, especially for being here. It's very heartwarming to see everybody, the present Rotary members, the past Rotary members, everybody that is associated with any type of a Rotary member. It's just a wonderful family we have. I do want to share with y'all, this is one of the biggest turnouts of past district governors in one spot. We have the whole governor's team, plus other past district governors. So they see the value in the Fayetteville Rotary Club as much as we do. So we say thank you to all of y'all and thanks to everybody to come. Love y'all so much.
One more piece of business, very important piece of business, honorary membership. Honorary membership is the highest distinction that the Fayetteville Rotary Club can bestow on an individual. This highly coveted honor is reserved exclusively for that person who has demonstrated admirable service and made significant contributions in the promotion of Rotary ideals while a member of Fayetteville Rotary and/or of the community.
Somebody's name tag. Tonight we have a gift for both of our honorary speakers. Hope we got a package for you, and he also have one for you, District Governor Jerry Ware. Fayetteville is known as a county that raises some of the finest beef cattle in America. And what we've got you here is some wonderful steaks to take home and enjoy. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's too pretty.
Thank you so much for allowing us to be here. I'm very proud of this club. Congratulations.
One final thing tonight, would all of our 80th anniversary committee members please stand? We certainly appreciate all the hard work you put in. What a fantastic event it turned out to be. Sorry if we kept you so late tonight, but we certainly had a great time. Thanks to everyone for coming. Good night.